favorite weird but true subjects in the entire world is Vikings.
What? That's so random.
What, comes to mind when you think of Vikings?
Blonde hair, big helmets with horns on them.
I think that a lot of us get our impression of Vikings as what we see in the movies, but I will tell you first and foremost that Vikings were not naturally blonde. Isn't that crazy?
Really? Because I thought all of them were blonde.
No. Blonde was seen as the ideal hair color for Vikings, so many of them actually dyed their hair.
Really?
Yeah, in ancient hair salons.
So what did they use to dye their hair?
I'm just kidding. There were no ancient hair salons.
There might have been. We don't know.
True. What if we excavated a site and it was an ancient hair salon with those weird hair dryers that go over your head?
An ancient blow dryer made out of tree bark and stone and somebody fanned air through it?
Yeah, there you go. But they actually used this really strong soap called lye, which is what everybody used back then, but apparently it stripped your hair of its color and made you blonde. They were also one of the cleanest of the ancient cultures, bathing as often as once a week.
Ugh, gross. Becky, you and I bathe more than once a week. That's not very clean. Doesn't sound very clean to me.
Speak for yourself, first and foremost. But that was actually a lot for back then. A lot of people didn't bathe, once but every couple of months. In fact, Queen Elizabeth, who was the Queen of England and lived 500 years after the Vikings, bragged that she bathed once a month. She thought that was pretty often.
Bragged?
Yeah.
I get smelly after 2 hours.
I know.
I also heard that they didn't really brush their teeth a lot back then either.
Well, if you think about what they had to brush their teeth with, I probably wouldn't want to either.
Can you tell me what they had? Because
there was actually a Persian toothpaste that was made of oyster shells and sand and dirt. So it was this nitty gritty stuff, and I don't even know. They didn't have toothbrushes, so we need to find out what they used as toothbrushes back then. But Queen Elizabeth had so much decay in her teeth that they turned black. And since she was a style setter, because she was the queen, that became the standard of beauty in England, and women started blacking out their teeth using charcoal.
Oh, that's so weird and a little gross, but also probably made her feel a lot better. So this is all really fascinating and really gross, but why didn't people bathe more often?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, today we have running water. So if you want to take a shower, you just turn on a faucet or take a bath. But back then it was a big pain. You had to go get the water, you had to haul it inside the house, you had to heat it up, or it'd be really, really cold. Or in some cases you had to just melt snow, which is probably what the Vikings did. But also some cultures believed that if you bathed, you welcomed evil spirits. Your filth is what made you safe from all the evil forces out there.
It's like a dirt shield?
Yes.
That's really gross, but it sounds like history must have smelled really bad.
Kate, it wasn't exactly like walking through a field of flowers, because before toilets were invented, modern flushing toilets, people used what we call chamber pots, which we've actually talked about on the show before.
Oh, I remember those.
Yeah, if you listen to our Weird But True Presidents episode, we told a story about how Franklin Delano Roosevelt played a prank on his childhood nurse by putting effervescing powder in her chamber pot, and when she went to the bathroom, she thought that her waist was bubbling. And
she thought she had some serious health problems.
But because people used chamber pots back then, they had to get rid of the waste somewhere because you couldn't just flush it down. So they actually just dumped it in the streets.
Wow, that's so gross. Throwing it into the street?
If you think that's gross, in medieval castles during banquets, people just threw their trash right on the ground. They didn't throw anything away. They just threw it on the floor, and then they covered it up with straw so you weren't walking through garbage all the time. But mixed in with that food, there was rats and bugs, and then they had cats and dogs.
Oh, okay.
And they pooped everywhere.
Oh,
and,
stop.
Okay,
oh, it's so
right.
gross.
Well, you get where I'm going with that.
Well, I'm really happy that we live today, where I can take a shower and I don't have to throw my trash on the floor and there's not poop everywhere. It does not sound like it could get any worse than that, right?
Hey, if we had all the time in the world, I could talk about ancient toilets forever, and it would get grosser than that, but you should be really glad that you were not born a medieval gong farmer.
A what? That doesn't sound gross at all.
A gong farmer?
Yeah, like I farm gongs for people to bang on.
Oh, Kate. So it turns out that gong in this sense means something entirely different. And a gong farmer was the person who would clean out the latrines. Basically, it all went down in this pit, and they needed to hire someone to go through and clean that out. So when you were farming gong, it was poop.
Oh, man.
Let's take a quick break. Let's play some upbeat music to lift our moods back up, and we'll be right back.